Hi everyone. Uh, Today we are going to be looking into how to research a stock. This is a basic course, but very, very important. Have you ever been interested in researching stock or looking into individual stocks and not know where to start? I think initially when I first started this, that was definitely the case. There are a lot of different websites out there, there's a lot of information, but then when you start to actually go buy the stock or research the stock, you just don't know how. Well, the first thing I want to do is go over the objectives of today, and we're going to explain to you how to do that. When you're researching a stock, what you want to do first is look through and find a brokerage account that you are interested with. After that, then think about the different types of companies you're interested in. Think about industries that you like. Think about brands that you're familiar with. That's where I believe is a great place to start. So you may be familiar with Coca-Cola. You may really like your shoes that you're wearing and notice that those are Nikes. There may be a company that supports a certain thing that you're interested in. That's where you start. And then you can research those companies if you want to invest in them and find out what their ratings are. So just because a company seems really cool or seems really great does not necessarily mean it's something to invest in. You may go to Foot Locker to buy clothes and think they're a great company, but then when you go look at their stock, maybe they're not the type of company you want to invest in. That's the second thing. So find the kind of stock or companies that you're interested with. Then, once you have your brokerage account set up, you can go to your brokerage account and you can look up ratings on these stocks. There's a lot of research that goes into companies on the stock market. An analyst will research a company and determine if that company is worthy of investing in. There's a lot of metrics they use. We don't really need to get down into the nitty and gritty of the analysis that those analysts make. All we really need to do is understand the basic concepts and what they're doing and rely on that. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I use the analysis from CFRA. Growing up, I used to use Standard & Poor's. So CFRA is a Standard & Poor's company. And the way they have their analysis set up, I'm familiar with, and it breaks it down and makes sense to me. So the first thing you want to do is sign up for a brokerage. We're not going to do that today, but I'm going to show you. If you just Google major brokerage companies, here are your major ones. You have TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, Ali Invest, Merrill Edge. I use TD Ameritrade. TD Ameritrade used to be a Scottrade. They were bought out. So TD Ameritrade is who I use. I think that their fees are great, the way their websites are, but you can't really go wrong with any of them. I've never used Fidelity. I have been on Charles Schwab. And at the end of the day, a brokerage account is a brokerage account, and what you want to do is look at the fees. We're not going to get into that today, but that's what would distinguish different ones from me. If TD Ameritrade wants to charge $10 per trade, but Charles Schwab only wants to charge $5, I may be more likely to go to Charles Schwab. So this is where you find the brokerage accounts. Click on one, set it up, and when you get access, then you can begin researching your stock. In the meantime, though, think about what companies you're interested in. So I'm interested in Nike. I have Nike shoes. The NBA heavily endorses Nike. It has a brand recognition. They're entering other countries and seems like a pretty successful company. And so let's go research Nike and see if what I perceive to be reality or what I perceive to be that company being successful. Let's see if the analysts that analyze that company agree with me. So then what I'll do is I'll go to my Ameritrade app that I have on my tablet. I have it already open, and this is Ameritrade. You can search for a stock. So if I have it already searched for Nike, so I click on Nike, but you just go into the app and search for whatever stock you're interested with. And if you don't know the ticker, all you got to do is the ticker is like what that company is abbreviated as on the stock market. So if you don't know that Nike is NKE, no worries. All you got to do is type in Nike, and then you'll see that they have a ticker for that company. So Nike's ticker is NKE. Now, here, what I do is I go to ratings. And then there are various companies that rate. So you have the CFRA, you have Research Team, Market Edge, The Street, Ford Equity, the various ones. I only focus on CFRA. CFRA, again, used to be Standard & Poor's, and their analysis makes sense. So I click on that. It will open up the analysis. All right. So far what we've walked through, I showed you how to look for a brokerage, sign up for one, think about the companies you like based on industry and brand. Now you're in there. You've done steps 1 and 2, and you're ready to look up your companies and do your analysis. And I have recommended CFRA. You can look at the other analyst reports, but I would start with CFRA. I believe that the way they lay out their analysis on companies is easy to understand for a new investor. So these are the items that we want to look at in CFRA. What is the rating that the company has? Does the company pay a dividend? And how is the growth of the stock? Every one of these details will be in those reports. So what you see is when you open up a CFRA report, it's around 9 pages long, but there's not a lot of substance in it. It cuts to the chase, and usually the only pages that you're focused on are 1 through 3. You can see that the rating of this company, they have a couple ratings. One, they're 4-star buy. Now, 5-star would be a strong buy, but they're 4-star, which is good. The next thing I like to focus on is what is their rating. Nike is an A. There are various criteria that go into the CFRA grading a company, but an A is good. We're going to leave it at that, and in a future course I'll go over how Nike determines that grade. So I look at the buy, I look at the grade, and then I look at dividends, because I like companies that pay a dividend. And what you can see is at the very top they give a yield. What that yield is the dividend yield. That's what, for every share that you have, you're going to make 1% in a dividend. Roughly 1.06%. So you'll see that there's a place on here where they should go over the amount of a share. Okay. So there's your $82.85. That was as of May 20th. That's what a share was selling for. Now, for every $82.85 that you made, you would make 1% on that share, whatever that comes out to. Usually I focus on shares that pay dividends of 2 to 4%. So this is a little low, but it's because it's probably because the share price is higher or going up because it's a good stock market. But nonetheless, they pay a dividend. So I focus on that. I then go ahead and I look at EPS, earnings per share. How well is this company doing over time? And so you can see in 2015, the company made $1.85 per share. It went up. It went up from 2016 to 2017. In 2018, it went down. I'd probably look into that and look at why. It looks like in the third quarter something happened. So I'd look at that. But again, the analysts have looked at this and they're grading it an A, so it's probably some isolated event. But I would look into that. And I can show you in a later course how to look into actual details, but we don't want to complicate it too much right now. But the significance here is that you can see that they're actually, in 2019 and 2020, they are projecting these earnings to continue to increase. Overall, Nike has solid upward earnings per share over the long term, from what I can see here. So then the company CFRA gives you highlights, and they give you their rationale for why they are grading the stock, what they're grading it. So again, this is what I look at. I look at the buy, I look at the price of the share, I look at the yield, the dividend yield, I look at the grade, I look at earnings per share, and then I'll read the detail in this section about what the company is doing. If you notice, I did not look at the growth of the stock at all. It's probably the last thing I consider when I'm investing in a company, because if all of the things I just described to you are positive, this stock growth or the share price increase will be positive. It's just an insignificant thing to focus on. A lot of times people just look at what is the stock? Is the stock going up or down? But they're not focusing on the inherent things that make a company a good company. So focus on those things that I just went over with you, and you'll be able to look and invest in researching companies. Now, in future videos, we'll go over how to buy shares, how to sell shares, the different things that go into this. But this is getting you into how to research a company. If you are at a weird spot where you just don't know what companies to even think of, what I would recommend is there's a book called The 100 Best Stocks to Buy, and I have it on Kindle. And what this book does is it breaks things up by industry, and they only put in their book stocks that pay dividends, that are good ratings on CFRA or S&P. So what you can trust in this book is that the stocks that they have here are quality, reputable stocks. And there's a section in here, in this book, that goes over the 100 best stocks to buy. And what you can see here is that they have it. I'll zoom this in. By company and symbol and category and sector. What you can do is get this book. It's $9, $10 on Amazon. And look through these companies and start with these companies. Companies that you're interested in. There's Nike, if you've ever heard of Oracle. Any company that comes up that you're like, I've heard of that company, I'm interested in that company, I like that company, start there. And start researching those companies to determine if they are graded well and meet your criteria of being a good company. So to recap, what we went over today were the following. I showed you how to sign up for a brokerage and research brokerage account. I showed you what industries or how to look at industries. Remember, use 100 best stocks to buy. if you don't know where to start. And then I showed you how to look it up on the brokerage account. Any brokerage account you get, at least I know for Ameritrade and Charles Schwab, they will have the CFRA as one of their analyst ratings. If they don't, just drop it in the message box down below, and I'm sure we'll be able to get you that analyst report so that you can see how that company is doing. Thank you for taking the time to sit with me as I walk you through the research basics for individual stocks.